It started with a promise. Not just to a man, not just to a relationship, but to two children who had already lost their mother. In front of witnesses, in front of family, I stood at the altar, not only as a bride, but as a woman who agreed to be part of their world forever. That was his idea, the vows to the kids. And in that moment, it felt beautiful. It felt right. It felt like love. I was 22 when I met him. He was 29, a newly widowed father of two. Our courtship was fast, dizzying, the kind of whirlwind romance that leaves no space for doubt. Only days after meeting, I was introduced to his children. He told me I was the one, not just for him, but for them. That together, we would build an incredible, happy family life. Within a year, we were married. I was 23, he was 30, and his children were 8 and 6. From the start, I worked full-time. I was not a stay-at-home spouse. Yet somehow, the full weight of childcare landed on me. There was always a reason. He was sore from his physical job. I was better at it because I'd babysat kids before. His daughter needed girl stuff he couldn't handle. The cooking, the laundry, the endless chores, they fell into my lap without question. And when the workday was over, he would come home, collapse into his chair, and declare that he deserved to relax. He claimed he was the one bringing in the money and keeping the roof over our heads. But the truth? That wasn't exactly accurate. Still, he said it with such conviction that any protest from me felt pointless. Evenings became his sanctuary. Video games until late. Friends over for beer and loud TV. Nights out while I stayed home with the kids. And slowly, something darker began to take root. His attitude toward me shifted. Sarcasm sharpened into open disrespect. And then he invited the children into it. It started small. A mocking imitation of my voice when I asked for help. A smirk when I said I was tired, but it grew. They began to mimic him, to find it funny when they ganged up on me. I became the mean witch in their story. He was the fun dad, the buddy, the hero. And I was the one left holding the line, enforcing rules, making meals, cleaning up messes no one acknowledged. By the end of that first year, I knew I had made a mistake. But guilt kept me anchored. Those vows to the children, the ones he insisted on, felt like chains. I told myself I couldn't abandon them after everything they'd been through. So I stayed. Another year. I tried to love them. I tried to see past the disrespect, to remind myself they were only kids. But the truth is, no matter how hard I tried, I felt nothing but resentment. And eventually, I hated them. The sound of their laughter at my expense, the way they rolled their eyes when I spoke, it hollowed me out. And one day, the weight of pretending became unbearable. I didn't plan it for weeks. I didn't rehearse the words. I just acted. While they were all out, I packed my belongings. Every piece of me that still felt like mine went into boxes and bags. I left a note. Short, direct. I explained it wasn't working. I said goodbye. And then I walked out the door, closing it on that chapter of my life for good. The divorce was bitter, but simple. We each left with what we had brought into the marriage, which wasn't much. I had never legally adopted the children, so there were no legal ties, no obligations. I never reached out to them again. The truth? I was overjoyed to be free. I didn't feel like a deserter. I felt like a prisoner who had found the key. 15 years passed. The memories faded, dulled by time. It felt like another lifetime, like something that had happened to another person. I was still in my 30s, living a life that felt entirely separate from that young, naive woman who thought she could love a man and his children into wholeness. And then, out of nowhere, a message appeared. It was from her, Tamara, the little girl who had once laughed at my expense in the living room. Only now she was 25. She didn't write to catch up. She didn't write to share her life. She wrote to tell me that I had betrayed her, that I had traumatized her for life by abandoning them after my promises, that I had a responsibility to never leave, no matter what. Her words were sharp, certain, and yet I knew she remembered. I knew she hadn't forgotten the way she treated me, the way her father encouraged it. The rush of emotions was strange, a cocktail of old hurt, disbelief, and the dull ache of something I thought I had buried. I didn't respond. I didn't defend myself. I sat there, staring at the screen, wondering how after all these years, she could still believe the story her father must have told her. In the years since I left, I've thought about that house, about those children. I've thought about how easy it is for the truth to be rewritten when someone needs a villain. I was never supposed to be their mother. I was supposed to be their caretaker, their servant, the buffer that allowed him to avoid responsibility. He set the stage so that if I ever left, the story would be simple. I was the woman who broke her promise. But the promises he made to me? Those were broken long before I walked out. Maybe she really does carry trauma from that day. Maybe losing her mother, and then me, left scars she can't see clearly. But those scars are not mine to heal. The way I see it, the moment her father turned me into the household punching bag, he was the one who abandoned them. I just finally left. So, am I the asshole? Because from where I stand, the choice was survival. The choice was reclaiming my life. And I can't decide if her message was truly about me, or if it was about a lifetime of hurt she still can't place where it belongs. And maybe that's the cruelest part. I can't fix that for her. If you've ever been in a situation where your presence was taken for granted, where your kindness was twisted into obligation, you know how hard it is to leave, especially when there are children involved, especially when the world tells you that love means staying, no matter how you're treated. But here's the truth. Promises have conditions, even if no one says them out loud. They depend on mutual respect, care, and humanity. When those are gone, the promise becomes a cage. So maybe the real question isn't whether she was abandoned. Maybe it's whether I was ever truly there in the way they wanted to believe. What do you think? Would you have stayed for the sake of a promise, even if it meant losing yourself completely? Or would you have walked away, knowing the story they'd tell about you would never match the truth?